Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the final OnsideSA Soccershow for 2021. Paul and Gavin are away, and joining me shortly from our Fulham studio in the UK is Stevie Braham. But we start as always with our last one standing soccer competition, which unfortunately has been delayed due to COVID. But we go into round 7 with 39 entrants still left. We have 2 ladies still alive, Catherine Armstrong and Bafana legend's wife, Michelle Tovey. We have 4 international guys still going, all the way from Mauritius, Francois Dumi, and 3 guys in the UK, Steve Potter, Nigel Swinbank, and Colin Young. We have 2 guys with multiple picks. Rion De Jager has 3 and Desfari has 2, while we have 1 former champion still surviving, and that's Sean Phillips. Other guys who have got to round 7 are Robbie Burns, Luke Lally, Paulo De Carmo, Selwyn Elk, Dave and Andrew Harker, James Rich, John Biscoby, Bruce Armstrong, Jeff Ward, Paul Willemse, Ravesh Badassi, Chris Giorgio, Doug Stain, Hassan and Mo Maul, Paddy Loka, Gary Grant, Mark Curry, Brett Gelly, Eric Narak, Jason Fulks, Mark Marinkovitz, Pierre de Ferk, Tony Bargate, Manny Almeida, Lawrence Verners, and our own Paul Lafferty. Hopefully the weekends go ahead, and just to confirm that we have to have 2 matches postponed before the round is null and void. We now go across to our UK correspondent in our Fulham studio. Steve, good morning.
Morning, Budge.
How's the weather over there?
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly warm.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of a bit damp and miserable, but they're looking at almost record temperatures for this time of year for some years.
Okay, so
so there's no danger of matches in England being postponed for bad weather. That's for sure.
So it's only COVID. Steve, I had a look on this morning. Barring the game tonight, Everton, Newcastle, I doubt there's any other games been called off so far?
They haven't yet, and I think that's because they're obviously waiting for at least sort of one more round of testing. And obviously, players can recover in the next couple of days. So, I'd be very surprised if there aren't some games called off in the Premier League and the Championship, but we won't know probably till the earliest, to maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Steve, talking of the Premiership, we had a round of fixtures. Tottenham feel a little bit aggrieved with the offside goal against Southampton?
Yeah, I mean, looked at that and it was very, very close. I think they thought obviously the VAR rules were going to sort of maybe give a slight advantage to the attacking player with the, but I think Harry certainly must be a little bit aggrieved. And then it was, I think drop points, especially against 10 men, they must feel they dropped points there. Yeah,
definitely. West Ham rebounded. I saw a bit of the game. They looked really good, even without Declan Rice. Your brother must be panicking about Watford.
Yeah, I think that it's very interesting listening to Rani. I mean, they sounded like, because obviously they had COVID in the camp, Watford, they hadn't had many training sessions at all, and it looked from midway in the first half onwards, they were never in it. Once West Ham scored those 2 goals in a minute, then it was just a matter of time that they get more, and they looked good, West Ham.
Yeah.
Very worrying. I mean, they've lost a lot of games, and I think they could struggle to stay up.
Yeah, so do I. Another team that looks dead and buried is Norwich. I watched the first 20 minutes. I know they had a lot of players missing. Totally outplayed.
Well, again, they haven't got a strong squad, and if they're missing any, their key players, then that's going to be a problem for them. And after sort of having a little new manager bounce right at the beginning with Dean Smith, but certainly the last few games they've been well beaten, and it's very hard to see them sort of finishing anything other than rock bottom.
Yeah, Leicester City upsetting Liverpool.
Very much so. It was a good game. I mean, it was in the first half. You just thought it was a matter of time when Liverpool would score.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had the penalty, which uncharacteristically was missed. But they dug in Leicester and they fought for everything. And actually, I mean, apart from scoring a good goal, Liverpool never really looked like they were going to break them down easily in the second half. And considering Liverpool were a pretty full-strength side and Leicester had a lot of players out, I think that's and Klopp was very disappointed with the performance.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't making excuses. He just said it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I totally agree with them, even though they did have a lot of half chances. Last night, Chelsea 1-1. I thought Brighton was superb. How did you see it?
Yeah, I saw some of that, and you thought obviously you could just tell Chelsea sort of missed a number of sort of chances and half chances, and it came back to bite them. And it's not the first time they've given away late goals, and they scored a good goal. Welbeck took his header really well. But probably, the balance of play that I saw, they probably just about deserved it. So, but that's, I mean, with Liverpool losing and Chelsea drawing, it's just eating into the hands of City, who did what they had to do. Scored an early goal and weren't under much pressure, but Brentford made them work for it. But City will, I think Pep will, although he's saying it's too early to call, when they're 8 points clear of Chelsea and 9 clear of Liverpool, they're going to have to go some to make up that ground. Yeah,
I agree. I think only Liverpool can catch them. Man City, as you said, did enough. I thought the second goal was always going to be crucial. If they'd scored it early, they would have cruised in. But fair credit to Brentford. Now, Man United, Burnley tonight, Steve. How do you see that going?
Well, I mean, Ralph Rangnick was very unhappy with United's performance and made no secret of that the other night. Burnley, we don't know what we're going to get. They haven't played for weeks. Yeah. I think it's going to be quite tough for them. Obviously, they were hit badly by COVID. Players wouldn't have played for a while. Played or trained for a while. I think that. I think this is a game that United have got to look to win. I don't think Ralph Rangnick is going to be happy. He gave the impression that he might be starting with Cavani, and he was very supportive of his defenders. I mean, even though they had a shocker, but I think Burnley are in trouble. Although they've got 4 games in hand over Newcastle, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to sort of pick up lots of points. So I think this is the game United are going to target, and I think that I'd be surprised if they don't win it.
Well, let's hope we get back on the winning rail. That disappointment against Newcastle was terrible. Steve, you're going to call up the Premiership weekend odds now, and we kick off Arsenal Man City. Now, as everyone knows, Man City, that's 10 league wins in a row. My apologies. 6 away. Can Arsenal give them a game?
If Arsenal play at their best, then I think they can. And they have been playing well, particularly at home. They haven't, Arsenal have come unstuck against the big teams.
Yeah.
If you look at their performances against Chelsea, against Liverpool, they have struggled. And, but they have beaten City in the past. So I think City will certainly need to play better than they did against Brentford.
Yeah.
I think it'll be hard for Arsenal, but I think you'd like to think they'll raise their game. I mean, they're in a good position at the moment, so I think they want to try and cement that 4th place. But I think the best they'll do necessarily is hold them.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing going for Arsenal, they've won 7 and drawn 1 of the last 8 home games, and they've had a bit of an easy run where Man City played Wednesday, lunchtime kickoff. Yeah. I know they've got a lot of players, but I just got a funny feeling Arsenal gets something out of this game. Now, Leicester City surely have got to be too good for Norwich. Steve, 4-10, does that look a gift?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, whatever team Leicester put out, I think they may have 1 or 2 players back from injury. Unless Norwich can show some form or fight that they haven't in recent weeks, you can't see anything other than a home win there. Yeah,
your brother worried about Tottenham's visit on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that Tottenham are going to go there, with a relatively strong squad. I think they'll be disappointed they drop those points at Southampton, and I think the way that Watford are defending, I'd be surprised if Tottenham don't win that.
Yeah.
And Watford, this is the start of a period where they lose 4 players to the African Nations Cup, including their top scorer. So Emmanuel Dennis has been called up. So they're in trouble. I mean, to lose their two key players, including their top scorer, for over a month when they're near the bottom, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely looked like, and they played like it in midweek. Now, the game I'm looking forward to is Crystal Palace West Ham. I must say, I was really impressed with West Ham. I only watched the first 30 minutes because once they got to 2-0, it was all over. I fancy West Ham, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, I do. I think that they had that little wobble, but they got back to winning ways, and they got a strong team. When they're all. And obviously, we know they've got some defensive issues because of injuries, but otherwise, you look at their squad. They've got a relatively strong squad. Perhaps, they were well beaten at Tottenham last week.
Yeah.
I would be at all surprised if West Ham go and win there. But I think again, Palace at home and not they won easily against Norwich, but I don't think that's that says much really.
Yeah, I agree. I fancy West Ham. Now, the game which should be a nice and tight is Brentford Aston Villa. What's your call on that?
Yeah, I think it will be. I think obviously Villa have missed a game. I think that Brentford have got, considering you looked at their squad and they without a few players, they did well. It could be tough for Brentford having to play again after a tough game last night. I mean, they were although City only scored the one, but they had Brentford's defence, running around a lot. I think it'll be a tough game for Brentford. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Villa win that, but they can do. Brentford are in your face. They throw everything at it, and they might hold them, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see Aston Villa losing. I think there'll be a few goals in that too. Steve, on to our second page, Everton, who haven't played in a couple of weeks, against Brighton, who were outstanding last night. Now, Brighton, 3 games in 6 days. Not an easy task. How do you see it?
No, not at all. Not at all. But then Everton have had a lot of players out injured and with COVID. So, we don't know. We don't know at the moment whether or not they are going to that match is going to go ahead. I think if there was one match in doubt, that could be it. Everton have definitely, they closed the training ground and got very. I think Benitez said a few days ago they only had 9 fit players. So if they do play, and with the injuries they've got, I think that will be tough for them. So I think Brighton will certainly avoid defeat. They'll be buoyed by that result at Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing away from home how great their form's been. They've only lost 1. That was the time I backed them against Newcastle. But 6 out of 7, and draws at Liverpool and Chelsea. You say they look the right team depending on Everton's, but Everton's freshness I think will help. I think that's got a draw written all over it. Now, the big game on Sunday for me is Leeds United Burnley. How do you see that going, Steve?
Yeah, I think Leeds, again, missed a couple of games. It depends if they've got any of their key players back. This has been their real problem, without Bamford and Calvin Phillips. They've, one or two others, they've not looked like they're going to score. They're trying to still play their cavalier brand of football without the quality players up front. Yeah, it's been difficult. But I think that they might just pinch something.
Yeah, I just think Burnley will see tonight. I think they'll be nice and fresh, Burnley, and I think there's goals in that. Let's just hope it's a nice thriller. Now, this was a game I was worried about being postponed. Steve, Southampton, Newcastle, especially from what we read about Newcastle's injuries woes. How do you see that, though?
Yeah, I think Southampton certainly be buoyed by obviously that win at West Ham and then Hull and Tottenham. Yeah. Newcastle, we know now that they've lost Callum Wilson and Alan St Maximin, so they've got a lot of injuries. I don't know if they've got so much players out with COVID. Yeah. So again, if they can put out a team, they have to, and I think that could be a problem for them. So if they have to play with the squad they've got without Callum Maximin, I think that Southampton will be too strong for them.
Yeah, so do I. Now, Chelsea-Liverpool, of what I saw last night, Steve, I fancy Liverpool. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are going to be pretty. Klopp was furious with the way they played. Missed chances and just fell asleep to the Lookman goal. This is a huge game. City will be hoping it's a draw. But I think whoever wins that. And Chelsea are going to have to. They're going to have to be more clinical. Obviously, having Lukaku back has definitely given them a little bit of an edge up front. But Liverpool are going to want to make a statement, and I think of the two, I fancy Liverpool ahead of Chelsea.
Yeah, and Man United Wolves on Sunday, Steve. This is going to be a tight game. The way Wolves have defended against the top teams recently, I can see a draw.
Yeah, Wolves have defended very well. I mean, they're not scoring goals, but they've certainly made themselves very hard to beat and to score against. Obviously, they've missed a game or two. United will be playing on Thursday. Maybe they'll brush out all the cobwebs against Burnley tonight. If United can win these two, that sets them up and puts them back in the hunt for top 4 position. So I think they'll be targeting these 2 games for 6 points.
Yeah, definitely. I think tonight it should be an easier. I just like what I've seen from Wolves. I know they don't score many goals. I think it's 2 goals and 8. But they've defended well. Against Liverpool was at 1-0. Man City, I've been impressed, and also Chelsea.
Yeah.
Steve, on to the Championship. I know we've got a few games on tonight, but we've got them all in our pools. Saturday, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough. We've got it on our channel. It should be a good game.
I think it will be, and I think if there was to be a little bit of a surprise, Sheffield United played very well last time out against Fulham. They've lost a couple of games to COVID, but Middlesbrough are looking very strong, and they're on a good run. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they go there and cement their top 6 place and get a result.
Okay, so you fancy Middlesbrough. Yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with them. I watched them. I fancied Forest last week, but I know they got a goal for nothing, Middlesbrough, but they totally outplayed Forest. I was really impressed. And Chris Wilder, this could be another Sheffield United job. I just hope he gets a warm reception when he goes back. Steve, Blackpool, Hull City, 2 struggling teams, position-wise.
I fancy Blackpool. I mean, they lost last night at home to Borough to a late goal, but I just think that they might just be a little bit too strong at home for Hull. But Hull, again, had a decent run. I think they might be hard to beat, so could be a draw there. But I fancy Blackpool. I just fancy Blackpool at home.
Yeah, let's say I watched Hull City against Notts Forest. First half they played well. They were 1-0 up. Then they seem to lose the plot in the second half, but they've only lost 1-7. I agree. I think that's got a draw written all over it. Now, Coventry City, who have lost the plot, 5 draws and a defeat. Can they rebound against Luton?
I think they will do. I fancy them at home. They had that amazing home run to start off with 6 wins in a row, but since then they found goals hard to come by and wins. I just think that they might bounce back after last night's result. So I think they'll just edge that.
Yeah, I think the only thing in Luton's favour, they've had 3 weeks to prepare, so they should come out nice and fresh. Now, the team that I've got a sneaky feeling for, even though they play tonight, is Bristol City against Millwall. I know Millwall sneaked in late when they beat Coventry. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, Bristol City obviously have got rid of the hoodoo of not winning at home. But I think Millwall just seem to find a way to pick points up. They got a good result last night. I think it's the sort of game could go either way. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Millwall avoid defeat though.
Okie dokie. Now, a trick game, Birmingham City against QPR. We were all over QPR. They were so bad against Bournemouth on Monday. Couldn't believe what I saw. Can they rebound against an improving Birmingham City side?
Yeah, I fancy they will. They didn't play at all well against Bournemouth. That was for whatever reason. But I think that they'll, away from home, they're sort of relatively hard to beat. I fancy them to go there and get a result.
Okay, 19-10. Well, nice price that. Blackburn, will they continue the roll against Huddersfield?
I think they should do. I mean, they put themselves joint second place. They're on this incredible run at the moment. Ben Brereton Diaz scored again. He's only a couple of goals behind Mitrovic. It'd be interesting to see, by all accounts, the Leeds and Newcastle are eyeing him up. I think it'd be interesting if they feel they've got, because they got huge debt as well or not. They would be prepared to sell their crown jewel. But I think as things stand, they're having an amazing run. So I'd be surprised if they don't continue that.
Yeah, I hope they don't. Adam Armstrong, they sold to Southampton. There's nothing worse. Those teams get that close and have to sell their best players. Now, I agree. I think Blackburn will win. West Brom, Cardiff. West Brom's game obviously off against my boys Preston tonight. You see them beating Cardiff?
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect West Brom. I mean, West Brom sort of dominated the game against Derby and ended up losing to the sort of defensive mistake. They need to bounce back, and Cardiff are obviously playing a lot better under Steve Morrison, but I think that West Brom should be too strong at home.
Okay, surely 9-10 Notts Forest is a good thing against Barnsley?
Yeah, definitely. I think Forest should be too strong. Barnsley put up a fight at Blackburn, by all accounts, last night, but Forest should be too strong.
Yeah, I agree. Reading Derby, how do you see that one going? Reading haven't played for 3 weeks, and Derby, even though they did get outplayed, they're fighting hard.
They are fighting hard, even though it's pretty much a losing battle. They're giving it a go, and I think they just want to show that irrespective of their sort of position with the 21 points of deduction, they're not prepared to give up. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they hold Reading.
Okay, Stoke City against my Preston boys who've had a 3-week break.
Yeah, again, you don't know. Stoke obviously have missed games as well. It's hard to tell what you're going to get there. I mean, on the one hand, as you say, they could be fresh, but obviously if they've not been training as much, they might have lost that bit of sharpness. So, Stoke have been very up and down. I think it's the sort of game that's sort of shouting out as a draw, I think, to me.
Yeah, well, we'd take a point, especially away from home. Now, Swansea City, Fulham, Steve. Couple of disappointing games in a row. I think it's winless in 5. Rebounding against Swansea, do you think?
Well, again, this game is potentially in doubt. Swansea have been making noises about still having not enough players available, even though it's a few days away. It does make you wonder whether or not some teams are taking advantage of the situation with COVID, where they're trying to cover up for a number of injuries. So if it does take place, I think we've got to go there and look to get a result. There's no question. We need to bounce back. We haven't been playing really well in the last few weeks. So it remains to be seen. But I fancy us to go there and get a result. Swansea have been disappointing this season compared to the last couple.
Yeah, I agree. I think playing away from home may be a blessing. I think it's a nice big ground, that Swansea. It'll suit your team, Steve. I think 8 to 10 is a good thing. It's 3-week break. I see in Spain, I was reading yesterday, they're forcing the teams to play. They say you've got a big squad, as long as you've got 13 outfield players and a goalkeeper, you have to play, whether you're Barcelona, Real Madrid or anybody.
Well, that's really in a way, that's how it should be. The EFL have said that. Although, I think the thing is, how do they police it? If a club turns around and says, we've got 12 players out with COVID and injuries, we can't field a team. How can the EFL or the Premier League, vet it? I mean, what was interesting is Palace tried to get the game off against Tottenham, and then it turned out that Palace only made one change. And when you looked at their squad, they had more than enough players available. So, to my mind, you could even they probably should have got fined for that, because there's no question they were trying it on.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Again, whether some teams are genuinely, obviously some teams are genuinely affected. They close the training ground, etc., and others are just using it because they've got injuries at this time to think, okay, we'll try and get the game off. We'll play it in a few weeks when we got players back.
Yeah, agree. Steve, lost in the Championship Monday night, Bournemouth. You think it'd be too good for Peterborough?
Yeah, they should do. I mean, Peterborough don't travel at all well. Bournemouth, maybe buoyed by that win at QPR. They're sitting top at the moment. I think that they'll probably want to get. I'd be very surprised they don't get a result against Peterborough.
Yeah, I must say, really impressed with how they outplayed QPR. Now, Steve, your final selections of the 2021. I need your best bet and value bet, please.
I'm going to go for Forest.
Sorry, you're going Notts Forest.
I'm going to go for Middlesbrough as my
value bet. Middlesbrough.
Sorry, so I'm going to go for Middlesbrough as my value bet. Yeah.
And
they've been playing well recently, and if it's a good price, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they, sort of a Yorkshire derby, as it were, they might just edge that.
And sorry, Steve, you said Notts Forest, your best bet.
Yeah, and Middlesbrough as my value bet.
All right. Steve, thank you very, very much for what you've done for the show. Have a good Christmas. Good Christmas. Have a good year, and we'll speak over the weekend.
Yeah.
All the best.
Happy New Year. See you in 2022.
Yep, let's hope so, Steve. All the best, eh? Take care. That's our UK correspondent, Stevie Braham, our Fulham man, and he knows it. That's guaranteed. We now go on to our Gold Circle and Soccer 6 exotics for the weekend. Our Gold Circle Soccer 6, it's a mixture of Premiership and La Liga. I'm going Real Madrid to avoid defeat in the local derby against Getafe. I'm chancing Aston Villa to beat Brentford away from home. I'm going Everton, win and draw at home against Brighton. I'm going the field in the Leeds United Burnley clash. I'm bankering Blackburn Rovers to beat Huddersfield Town. And I'm going the field in the Chelsea-Liverpool fixture 2-1-6. On to the Phumelela Soccer 6. I'm going Bristol City, win and draw at home against Millwall. I'm bankering Aston Villa to win at Brentford. I'm going Everton, win and draw at home against Brighton. I'm going the field in the Leeds United Burnley match. I'm bankering Southampton to beat Newcastle. And as much as I fancy Liverpool and the exotics, I'm going the field in the Chelsea-Liverpool game 2-1-6. On to the Gold Circle Soccer 10. I'm banking Real Madrid to beat Getafe. Aston Villa to beat Brentford. The field in the Everton versus Brighton fixture. Likewise, Leeds United against Burnley. I'm going 1-2-3 there. I'm bankering Blackburn Rovers to be too good for Huddersfield Town. Our second page sees us bank Atletico Madrid to beat Rayo Vallecano. I'm going the field in the Chelsea versus Liverpool match. I'm going Real Sociedad to avoid defeat at Deportivo Alaves. I'm going Real Betis, win and draw at home against Celta Vigo, and ending up with Barcelona to be too good away from home against Real Mallorca, 2-1-6. On to our budgies bets for the weekend. I'm going West Ham to beat Crystal Palace. I'm going Aston Villa to win or draw at Blackpool. And I'm going over 2.5 goals and both teams to score no in the Leicester City, Norwich City game. So that's Leicester to win 3-0, 4-0, whatever. 3,000 to 200. Our Premiership over 2.5 goal sides are Watford, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brentford, Aston Villa, and Leeds United, Burnley. 12 to 1, 2,400 to 200 was our bet. On to the Championship, where I'm going Blackburn to beat Huddersfield, Fulham to beat Swansea City, and both teams to score no, and over 2.5 goals in the Bournemouth-Peterborough fixture. I think Bournemouth will win 3-4-0 very easily. 17.5 to 1, 3,500 to 200 was our bet. Our team goals only, I'm going Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Blackburn Rovers, all to score over 1.5 goals or a minimum of 2, 3,000 to 200. La Liga continues this weekend and we've got a quartet. I'm going Real Betis to beat Celta Vigo, Villarreal to beat Levante, and both teams to score in the Alaves Real Sociedad and Osasuna Atletico Bilbao match, 2,000 to 200. Collis King 6 or Nexa, I'm going Leicester to beat Norwich, Aston Villa to beat Brentford, Blackburn to beat Huddersfield, Bournemouth to beat Peterborough, Sevilla to beat Cadiz, and Villarreal to beat Levante. My best bet of the weekend is in the Championship, where I'm going with Blackburn Rovers to be too good for Huddersfield, and my value bet at 15 to 10 is Liverpool to beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Thank you for listening. Have a safe and happy New Year, and please remember to stay on side.